time to select your timber and machine it to the appropriate size. The dimensions should be 600mm by 60mm by 19mm. The equipment we'll need for marking out is a pencil, a tri-square and a ruler. First step is to use a 3-1 thumb method with the tri-square to square off the end. Now that we've squared off the edge, we're going to mark out every dimension that's shown on that previous diagram. First dimension is 100mm long. Once we've marked out this first dimension, we're going to leave a little bit of a gap. We're going to be cutting this on a dock saw, and the dock saw blade is 2mm thick, so we're going to leave a gap of 2mm. We rule this out with the tri-square, making sure that we also mark out where our waist is. Now, our waist is generally marked out with a few cross hatches, so we do this in the gap, and we're also going to do this at the end where we've squared off the end of our timber. We're going to follow this same process for the rest of the dimensions. And don't forget to mark your waist with some cross hatchings. So I'll just go through those dimensions again. 100mm, 2mm gap, 340mm, 2mm gap, 70mm, 2mm gap and 70mm. Now we're ready for the dock saw. When using the dock saw, it's important to cut in a certain order to make sure that you're holding on to the longest piece possible. Ensuring you're wearing appropriate safety gear, the next step is to dock the two ends off your piece of timber. With the machine turned off, line up your pencil marks with the blade, and with a very tight grip so you can see the whites of your knuckles, hold on to your piece of timber and cut. Your hand should be at least 100mm away from the blade. Do the same thing with all your other pencil marks. You should have the longest piece left in your hand at the end. You're now ready to glue up your neck. Get yourself prepared for gluing by having glue ready, clamps ready, and also getting some newspaper to avoid getting any glue on the table. Line up your timber in the same order that you cut it to see that the grain runs all the way through. Put the glue on the appropriate areas of the timber and spread it out nice and evenly. Put a couple of clamps on each end and make sure they're nice and tight. You should also check to see if your edges are flush. If they're not, you may want to add a few clamps to keep them flush. Bring your neck into the gluing rack and leave it there for a few hours. Don't forget to tidy up, put your glue back in the rack and put your newspaper in the bin. And now we have the first stage of our neck complete. Take off your clamps and pack them away.